Yeah, I'm Moritz. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Mitte. We are in essence, what we try to do is replace bottled water, which we think is something that should belong in the 20th century for sustainability reasons and for also convenience reasons. There's better ways of basically producing healthy hydration, which we are all about. We have developed a solution, a hardware and software solution, where you can create with bottled water, equivalent water basically at home. And we have launched that product in November of 21, so a little bit over a year. And it's been quite a ride, both creating this product and then also launching it. Yeah, I don't think I knew that word when I was growing up, but I somehow always enjoyed building things or starting things or organizing people, I guess, to look into one direction. I always thought that was interesting. And I kind of I studied something that not very related, which was history, and then did a business degree later. But started my career, or actually my first job really was actually starting an NGO with my brother at the time in the education space in East Africa. I then in Ethiopia, then started working in consulting for 2 years, kind of variety of projects, from kind of consulting football club to insurance. So really quite a range. And then met two colleagues there, and we started a direct-to-consumer coffee company in 2010. It's called Coffee Circle, which is still around and it's doing quite well. We started that, and I've always been kind of interested in the food space, or in something kind of that you can, where you have a sensory experience, and then actually left Coffee Circle, that startup, to work again with an NGO or in the Gates Foundation in East Africa again, to kind of replicate the model we had with Coffee Circle on a much larger scale with very big consumer good companies. But then came back to Berlin, and by coincidence met an engineer, a scientist who had dabbled around or was thinking about different ways of treating water, and I found it really fascinating. I didn't have any engineering background or any hardware or software background as such, but I guess I've been in the kind of, let's say, startup and industry for a while, and then we took the leap of faith and said, let's start this. And it took quite a while to get launched. It's very technically quite a complex thing we had to solve, and a lot of IP that had to be developed. But we did it, which was good. The bottled water market is obviously, it's massive. It's $250 billion, but it also has a massive environmental impact. So those largest bottled water producers are also the world's largest single-use plastic producers. So massive market, yes. So those are, I guess, on one hand, are our competitors, so the bottled water producers, but then also you have obviously a number of people that are, let's say, in adjacent markets. So there's people, maybe most prominent would be in the sparkling space, in the CO2 space, like, just not treating your water in any way, not cleaning it and mineralizing like we do, but sparkling it only, which is SodaStream. That's the largest player in that market, which is now owned by Pepsi. That would be one adjacent market, but they're doing something slightly different. They're adding CO2, they're adding bubbles, they're not treating your water. We are cleaning it, mineralizing, and if you want, we can sparkle it. And then there's a myriad, there's a lot of people that provide filtration, purification offers. I think the most prominent offer would maybe be Brita. So that's also the simplest form of treatment of water. It's there's variety of technologies and then, let's say, of sophistication of purification technologies. But those guys as well, what they look at is one dimension. They look at the question of purification, they think about how can I take things out of the water, but they don't necessarily look at what does it take to make healthy water, to make water that's good for you. And there's two dimensions. There's the taking what, it's not just about what you take out, but it's also what you put back in terms of minerals. So yeah, so those are, I think, maybe the three adjacent kind of markets. So you have the bottled water, which by product is maybe the closest to what we do, but the delivery form, the bottle, is very different. There's the CO2, sparkling devices that don't really change the properties of your water, and then there's purification devices of all sorts that's obviously also built in, and of which, but only offer the purification side. So I guess maybe there's two aspects that I would like to mention. There's one, it's about basically all the emissions that we generate as a company, and that we, that could be by heating or could be by electricity, but also by our travel, or also, so basically everything that we do within kind of our space. And then also there's basically the layer around that is everything that is generated by our products. So by, basically engineering or the manufacturing and the shipping the product and so forth. So this side, we basically measure the CO2 impact of that, and we offset the CO2 impact of that. That's, the measurement is also basically a baseline for us to be able to lower it, and that's kind of a starting point. Obviously we try to have as little impact as possible, but that's on one hand a kind of one thing we do. So we measure it and then we offset it. And then secondly, though, and that's maybe more important, if you compare our CO2 footprint, there's a kind of a term that's called life cycle assessment. So you have an LCA, a complete life cycle assessment of this device and the cartridges that we sell. And if you then compare this to bottled water, we are 7 times less CO2 intense than bottled water. So you basically, if you compare it and use our product versus bottled water, you're 7 times less CO2 intense as a user compared to using bottled water. Pick your feel, but that's before you start, right? I think picking something that has a climate relevance, I think, is maybe the best way of doing so. You're basically active in the field directly, because I think that is unfortunately not something that will go away. We will all be active in battling with that topic for many, many, many years, and generations after us even more, unfortunately, I think. But that's basically, I guess, one tip. And then I think there's very small things that you can think about. I mean, it's maybe also sounds trivial, but I guess it does add up if we all do things like, certain forms of travel. Maybe you don't take a plane somewhere, you take a train. The incentivize people. Maybe there's some benefits of the thing we do where we support people with kind of buying a bike rather than and so forth. So I think there's small things, and then just by running the operation as well, use a certain type of energy provider, use awareness, I think, is also a topic where you usually have 1 or 2 people, maybe like yourself, that are just quite into sustainability, let's say. And then I think maybe having green thrive or green whatever, where you kind of have a lunch and be like, hey, let's all share our ideas of how we can, as a company and maybe also as individuals, be greener or more sustainable. And obviously many times we all fail, very much including myself, but I think it's also about trying and then collectively, I guess, making an impact.